I always thought the worst thing I'd ever hear was, "We need to talk." Turns out it's, "You already knew, didn't you?" said with a smirk, a towel barely clinging to her and the neighbor's grin still fresh on his face. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a man gets there, one red flag at a time, and doesn't even know he's looking at a damn parade. Been married to Lisa going on 12 years now. High school sweethearts, if you can believe that sort of thing still happens. She was all fire and sass back then, tight jeans, sharper tongue, and I was just some wide-eyed goof with a Chevy Nova and a wallet full of gas receipts. Somehow she picked me. Or maybe I chased her so hard she just gave in to shut me up. We got married young, real young. I took over my old man's HVAC business, she started working reception at a dental office, and we settled into this rhythm that felt comfortable. Not fairy tale, but decent. We got a 2-bedroom ranch on a quiet street where folks still wave at each other and gripe about trash pickup. Life was simple. But lately it's been weird. Not big stuff, not at first. Just these little things that itch at the back of your neck like a tag in your shirt you can't quite reach. Like Lisa started getting real into fitness. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those guys who gets all insecure when his wife wants to drop a few pounds. Hell, I was proud of her at first. Said she wanted to feel better, stronger. Cool. She bought some home equipment, then a gym membership, and next thing I know she's got this whole new wardrobe of tight leggings and sports bras. Again, not complaining. Just, it was a shift. She'd go for these long runs, at odd hours, even in the rain. Sometimes come back without a drop on her. One time, she came back smelling like cologne I sure as hell don't wear. When I mentioned it, she laughed and said, "It's probably the guy who ran past me, Chuck. Calm down." All right. Fair. Maybe I'm paranoid. I dropped it. Then there was the phone thing. She got real secretive with it. She'd angle the screen away from me, laugh at texts and say, "Oh, just Cindy." Like that was supposed to mean something. But here's the thing, Cindy's been out of state for 2 years. They barely talk. One night, I walk into the kitchen and she jumps like I fired a gun. She's holding her phone, wide-eyed, and fumbles to lock it. Says she was just looking up a recipe. I look over her shoulder, and it's Google Maps. She shrugs. "Trying to find a new coffee shop," she says. "At 10:30 at night?" I don't push it. I let it go. Maybe I'm too trusting. Or maybe I just didn't want to start a fight over nothing. Lord knows Lisa's got a temper like a matchbook in a bonfire. She once threw a wine glass because I called her meatloaf. Decent. Still got a scar on my knuckle from cleaning that up. But the thing that really started gnawing at me was her attitude. She got snippy. Distant. I'd come home from a long day crawling around attics, soaked in sweat and fiberglass, and she'd barely grunt a, "Hey." No kiss. No. "How was your day?" Just eyes glued to her phone or TV or whatever the hell she was pretending to care about. We stopped doing the little things. No more Friday night pizza and movies. No more sitting on the porch with beers talking about nothing. Hell, we hadn't been intimate in months, and every time I tried, she'd pull away like I was some stranger askin for bus fare. But again, I figured it was stress. Mid-30s, routine wearing us down. Happens to everybody, right? I started blaming myself. Thought maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe I got boring. I'm not exactly the most romantic guy. My idea of a date night is a 6-pack and ribs in the back of the truck watching the stars. So I made an effort. Bought her flowers. Tried cooking dinner one night, damn near burned the house down, but it was the thought. She smiled, thanked me, but the smile didn't hit her eyes. It was like watching someone play a character they forgot the lines to. Then came the neighbor. Now, I ain't saying this guy's the devil, but he's got that smarmy used car salesman charm. Name's Trent. Moved in 6 months ago, divorced, no kids, and apparently very interested in being friendly. Always shirtless in the yard, mowing with a beer in hand, tan like he sleeps in a tanning bed. Real. "Hey bro! Energy, always a skin if Lisa can recommend a dentist, or if we want to come by for a barbecue. I never liked him. Something about his grin rubbed me wrong. But Lisa? She thought he was hilarious. They chat at the fence sometimes, laugh a little too long, her hand on her hip in that way she used to do for me. Still, it's neighborly, right? I told myself not to be jealous. I trusted her. But then I came home early one Thursday, one of my jobs got delayed, and I saw them out back, her showing him some yoga stretches. I kid you not, she was bent damn near in half while he stood behind her like he was helping her. Align her spine. Said it was nothing, he just stopped by to borrow a rake. A rake. On the day the damn lawn crew mowed his yard. I didn't say anything. I went inside, opened a beer, and just sat on the couch trying not to let my brain spiral. Told myself, Chuck, you're being crazy. She wouldn't do that. Not Lisa. So I doubled down. Took her out to dinner that weekend, real nice place by the river. I even shaved. She wore that black dress I like, and for a minute, it felt like old times. We laughed, talked about the past, held hands. That night, she actually kissed me like she meant it. First time in I don't know how long. I went to bed thinking maybe we were turning a corner. Maybe I was just insecure. Maybe I was the one drifting, not her. That was my mistake. Because the next morning, I caught her on the phone in the bathroom, whispering. And when I walked in, she jumped, locked the screen, and smiled at me like I was a customer in a damn showroom. Said she was talking to Cindy again. Of course. But her hands were shaking. And I swear, I heard a man's voice before she hit. End. I'm not saying she was cheating. Not yet. But I started making a plan. I ain't a jealous man by nature. Never had to be. Lisa's always been the kind that demanded attention wherever she went. Big smile, louder laugh, knew how to work a room. And I always felt like the luckiest bastard alive when she picked me to stand next to her. So I told myself, over and over, that I was just being paranoid. Still, there was a weight in my chest that wouldn't leave me alone. After that morning in the bathroom, I couldn't stop looking for little things. Not big, obvious stuff, just the strange, quiet shifts. The kind you could blink and miss if you weren't already suspicious. Like the laundry. Now, I ain't the kind to poke around my wife's unmentionables, but I noticed one day that she'd started buying all new underwear. Expensive stuff. Not the cotton briefs she used to toss in the Target cart, but lacy, frilly little numbers with tags from stores I'd never even heard of. I joked about it, said something like, "Who you trying to impress?" With a grin. She rolled her eyes and said, "Myself. A woman's allowed to feel sexy, you know." Fair enough. I dropped it. But I kept noticing more and more. Perfume that wasn't her usual scent, little nicks on her thighs like she'd started shaving again with a vengeance, her legs crossed different, like she was always presenting herself. I know that sounds weird, but if you've been with someone that long you know how they move. And when that changes, you feel it before you even understand what's wrong. Then she started going to bed later than me. Way later. I'm a get-up-at-5 guy, so I turn in early. Used to be she'd curl up with me, tuck her feet under my leg like she always did. Now, she said she couldn't sleep. Had too much on her mind. I'd wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. and find the living room empty, lights off, her phone gone. I'd stumble out half asleep and find her sitting in the car in the driveway, engine off, just staring at her screen. When I asked what she was doing, she said she couldn't sleep and was listening to a podcast. In the car. At 3 in the damn morning. "You're being weird, Chuck," she said, like I was the one sleeping outside the house like a raccoon. A few days later, I found a hotel key card in the glove box of her car. It was one of those generic-looking ones, no logo, no room number, just a swipe card. I turned it over in my hand, sitting there in our driveway, my heart doing double time in my throat. When I asked her about it, she barely blinked. "Oh, that's from the girls' night last month. Remember? The one I told you about?" I did remember her saying she was staying at a hotel. Said Cindy was in town, they wanted to go all out. But I also remembered that she came home the next morning looking fresh as a daisy and barely talked about it. Just said it was fine, and that Cindy had to leave early. No photos, no stories. That ain't like her. Normally she won't shut up after a night out. I asked if Cindy still had the same number. Said I wanted to give her a call and thank her for looking out for Lisa. Just playin' dumb. Lisa gave me a real sweet smile, stepped close, and laid a hand on my chest. Chuck, you don't need to check up on me. You're not that guy, remember? I let it go. But I didn't forget. And then there was Trent again. Always Trent. It got to where every time I turned around, that bastard was either walking his dog, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he borrowed from his sister, or working on something in the garage when Lisa just so happened to be outside watering the plants or checking the mail, or doing yoga on the deck. One afternoon, I got off early and caught him standing by our fence. Not talking. Just standing real close. Too close. When I pulled into the driveway, Lisa turned around like she'd been caught stealing cookies. She waved like nothing was wrong, called out, "Hey hon! Trent was just telling me about this great restaurant downtown." Now maybe I'm old-fashioned, but if a man's telling my wife about a steakhouse with low lighting and cloth napkins, I expect to be part of that conversation. But I smiled. Waved back. Didn't let nothing show. I started keeping a little journal, just jotting down things. Times, places, who she was with, what she said. I ain't proud of it, but I needed something to keep my own head straight. Wasn't sure if I was losing my damn mind or if something really was going on. And for every weird thing, there'd be a moment that felt normal again. One night, we sat on the back porch with a couple cold beers and watched the fireflies. She laughed at something I said, touched my hand, leaned on my shoulder like she used to. I almost forgot everything. Almost. And then my phone buzzed. Text from my buddy Dan. "You home? Thought I saw Lisa getting into Trent's truck a few minutes ago." I looked up, heart beating like a war drum, and sure enough, the porch was empty. Lisa was gone. I walked through the house, checked every room. Her phone was gone. Purse gone. Her car was in the driveway, though. Which meant I stood in the living room, just staring at the wall, trying to breathe through whatever was climbing up my throat. Told myself maybe Dan was wrong. Maybe she was just grabbing something from Trent's place. Maybe she was borrowing sugar. Maybe hell froze over. 15 minutes later, she walked through the front door, cheeks red, breath short. Said she'd gone for a walk. Needed air. Said she ran into Trent and they talked about the HOA. Said she didn't have her phone because it died and she forgot to charge it. Said I was being paranoid again. Said all the right things, but wouldn't meet my eyes. That night, I stood in the shower, letting the water burn my skin, trying to make sense of all of it. And that's when I made up my mind. She wasn't cheating. I was. At least, that's what I told myself. It was easier that way. Easier to think maybe I'd lost interest, maybe I'd let things go, maybe I didn't appreciate her enough. Maybe this was my fault. So I started acting better. Bought her flowers again. Made dinner. Rubbed her feet. I even shaved every day for a week. My face ain't thanked me for that since. She smiled. Said I was finally trying. And for a minute there, I really thought we were okay. But just like the quiet before a storm, right when the air goes still and the sky gets that sick green tint, I knew something was about to break. And Lord help me, I wasn't ready for how hard it was gonna fall. There's a funny thing that happens when you want to believe someone. You stop asking the right questions. You start making excuses for them, instead of demanding answers. I was doing both like a champ. After that night she came home flushed and breathless, claiming she'd just gone for a walk. I decided enough was enough, with my own damn thoughts. I was sick of feeling like a bloodhound circling around a scent I couldn't quite place. So I doubled down. Not on suspicion. On trust. I told myself Lisa was clean. That I was the one who needed to change. Maybe I'd let things slide too far, got lazy, stopped noticing her, stopped making her feel like the knockout she used to be. I mean, hell, she'd stayed. That had to count for something. So I made a promise to myself, no more digging. No more doubt. I was gonna be the husband she deserved, even if I wasn't sure she still wanted one. Started getting up early and making her coffee. Not the Keurig junk either. I broke out the French press and everything. She'd walk into the kitchen in her robe, that messy bun on top of her head, and for just a second, things felt like the way they used to be. She'd smile, thank me, kiss my cheek. But it was like kissing wallpaper. Just enough pressure to say, I love you, but no warmth behind it. I let it slide. We even started sleeping in the same bed again. For about a week, things almost felt normal. She laughed at my jokes, started texting me in the middle of the day again, just little nothings like, don't forget the milk, or, your dog farted in his sleep and scared himself. That kind of thing. But she still had that damn phone on her like it was glued to her hip. And she kept turning off the read receipts. Now look, I ain't trying to be a controlling husband. I don't need to know where she is every second. But when a woman who used to text you heart emojis suddenly starts responding with K and nothing else, you notice. Still, I told myself it was a phase. Maybe hormones. Maybe burnout. Maybe life. Then she mentioned taking a weekend retreat with some coworkers from the dental office. Said they were all renting a cabin out by the lake. Supposed to be team bonding. Whatever that means when you're cleaning plaque all day. I blinked. You? Spending a weekend in the woods without cell service? You screamed last time a moth flew in the kitchen. She laughed, but not like I was funny. More like I was simple. It's only for a night, she said. I need this, Chuck. I'm suffocating here. I feel like I'm always wife and receptionist and I don't know who I am anymore. That hit me. Not because I thought she was lying, but because I'd felt that too. Like we were just going through the motions. Living parallel, not together. So I told her, go. Clear your head. She smiled. Kissed me harder than she had in weeks. And the next night she packed a small duffel, kissed me on the porch, and drove off. Only, when I checked her Instagram later, there were no photos. No updates. Not even a damn lake in the background. I told myself, maybe it's just a digital detox. Maybe the signal really was bad. I called the dental office the next day. Just casually asked for Lisa. Her boss answered and said, oh, I thought she took a sick day. Sick day? I laughed it off and said I must have misunderstood. Hung up, sat on the edge of our bed for a long time, staring at the wall. Later that night, she came home smelling like bonfire smoke and cheap wine. Her hair was up, clothes wrinkled, eyes red like she'd been crying or maybe drinking too hard. Fun trip? I asked. She nodded, tossed the bag down by the door. Yeah. It was what I needed. Then she walked straight to the shower without looking at me. I didn't follow. Didn't press. I was too damn scared of what I might find. The next week, Trent showed up again. This time, it was late, past 9 p.m. Said he was looking for a flashlight because his power had gone out. I stepped out on the porch, handed him mine, and stared him down a little too long. He didn't flinch. Just smiled, nodded at Lisa through the window, and said, "You're a lucky man." I wanted to break his jaw right then and there. But I smiled back and said, "I know." Later that night, I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about that smile. Not Lisa's, his. That cocky, smug little smirk like he knew a joke I didn't. And Lisa? She laid beside me like a statue, back turned, breathing slow and steady like she'd already left the room. But I held on. Held on to hope. To love. To denial. Then I started having dreams. Dreams where I'd walk into the kitchen and find Trent sitting at our table, eating my cereal, wearing my robe. Where Lisa would be perched on his lap, Logan, smoking a cigarette she never smoked in real life. And I'd wake up sweating, heart pounding, hand gripping the sheets like a lifeline. You ever feel yourself slippin'? Like your own brain's trying to spare you from something you already know? That was me. Until I saw the credit card bill. Came in on a Wednesday. She always handled the finances, but this one got mailed instead of emailed. I opened it without thinking, habit I guess. And there it was. Dinner for two at a steakhouse in the next town over. 2 nights before her retreat. Not somewhere we'd ever been. Not even somewhere she'd mentioned. I stared at that line item for 10 solid minutes. Could have been anyone, sure. Could have been a coworker, a client, a girl's night out. But my gut twisted in that way guts do when the truth starts knockin'. And for the first time, I thought, maybe I'm not crazy after all. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because I needed to be sure. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the truth don't like to stay buried long. It was comin'. And I'd be ready. After I saw that steakhouse charge, I didn't sleep right for 3 days. Kept telling myself it could have been innocent. Maybe she picked up the bill for someone. Maybe it was lunch with her boss. Maybe. But that voice in the back of my head, the one that sounded a whole lot like my daddy when I used to lie about sneaking out the window at night, kept whispering, "You know better, boy." Still, I didn't say a word. Instead, I started paying closer attention. Not in the movies way, where I put on a trench coat and follow her car around with binoculars. No. I just noticed things. Little things. Like how she stopped wearing her wedding ring during the week. Said it was getting tight when she typed. But she wore those tiny gold hoops that took her 20 minutes to put on. Or how she'd come home with her hair done up when she left the house with it down. Lip gloss smudged like she'd kissed a ghost in the parking lot. I started keeping mental tabs. Times. Places. Clothes. Excuses. I even started taking pictures of her outfits when she left. Told her I thought she looked hot. Which she did, by the way. Still. But mostly I wanted to remember what she was wearing when she told me she was just grabbing coffee with Mindy. 'Cause Mindy's a turtleneck and yoga pants type. And Lisa was dressed like she was heading out to a rooftop bar with bottle service. Still, no proof. Just that gnawing feeling. Then came the Sunday barbecue. Our buddy Rick was throwing a thing at his place. Usual crowd, couples from the neighborhood, some friends from Lisa's job, beer coolers and burnt hot dogs. I was out back grilling when I noticed Lisa wasn't around. Figured maybe she was inside chatting with the girls. Then I spotted her. Down the driveway. Standing close to Trent. They were turned just so, angled away, like 2 teenagers smoking behind the gym. Her hand went up and touched his arm, lingered a beat too long. My jaw locked so tight I nearly snapped the grill tongs. Rick walked up behind me, clapped my shoulder. "Damn, you're burning those dogs, Chuck." I didn't say nothing. Just flipped them all at once and said I had to take a leak. Slipped inside, straight to the garage, and stood there breathing hard. She came in 10 minutes later like nothing had happened. Kissed my cheek, smelled like beer and whatever cologne Trent used, kinda woodsy, like someone rolled around in a damn pine tree. Later that night, I asked her point blank, "You and Trent talking about something important out there?" She didn't flinch. He was asking about the solar company we used. That was new. We don't have solar panels. I raised an eyebrow, waited. She blinked. "I mean, the ones we were thinking about." I smiled. Said nothing. Because now? I wasn't looking to catch her in a lie. I was letting her walk into her own trap. So I played nice. Sweet husband. Romantic even. Next Friday, I cooked dinner. Real dinner, not frozen pizza or gas station tacos. Made her favorite, balsamic chicken and roasted potatoes. Lit some candles. She walked in, looked confused, like I'd forgotten it was her birthday. "What's the occasion?" she asked. I smiled. "Just wanted to show you I still know how to treat my girl." She kissed me, soft, slow, with her eyes open. We ate. We drank. And for a moment, It felt like the woman I married was sitting across from me again. But when I reached for her hand, she pulled away. Said she was tired. Long week. Too much wine. Went to bed early. I cleaned up alone. Didn't say a word. Later that night, I checked her phone while she was asleep. Now look, I ain't proud of it. But when a man's heart starts sinking and every rope's slippin' through his fingers, you do what you gotta do. Locked, of course. But here's the kicker, she changed her passcode. She'd had the same one for years. It was our anniversary. 0613, easy. Now? Nothing worked. I tried birthdays. Pet names. Even Trent, just to piss myself off. She woke up while I was sitting at the edge of the bed, phone in my hand. "What are you doing?" she asked, voice groggy, but sharp underneath. "Trying to set your alarm. You forgot again." She snatched the phone from my hands like I'd picked up a snake. "I got it," she said. Rolled over, back to me. Didn't speak again that night. Next day, I get a call from Lisa while I'm on a job. "Hey, I'm gonna stop by Target. Need anything?" I said no. Told her to grab what she needed. Asked if she was talking her car or mine. "Mine, duh." She laughed. But here's the thing, I'd already seen her car in the garage when I left. Didn't say nothing. Hung up, then called my buddy Kyle, who works part-time over at the Shell station off Main. Told him to keep an eye out. Just a hunch. An hour later he texted me. "She's here. Not in her car. With Trent. They're gassing up his truck." And just like that, my stomach dropped out of me. Still, no confrontation. Not yet. Because I wanted her to think she was still in control. Still pulling the strings. So I went home. Played dumb. She came back 2 hours later with a Target bag full of nothing but paper towels and gum. I smiled. Asked if they had everything she needed. She nodded. Said it was crazy busy. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Bet it was." She blinked. Smiled tight. And walked away. That night I sat in the garage, sipping whiskey out of a coffee mug, heart beating like a war drum. Because tomorrow? Tomorrow was when I'd find out everything. Tomorrow was when I'd walk right into the fire. And this time, I wasn't walking out without answers. It was a Saturday. Sky was gray, humid as hell. One of those days where the air feels heavy, like it's holding its breath. Lisa said she was going to yoga. She even put on that tight little set she never wears around me, the lavender one with the cutout back. Hair done, perfume on, mat under her arm like she was off to find inner peace. I said, "Take your time, babe. You deserve it." And I meant it. She deserved all the time in the world to think about what was coming. Soon as she pulled out, I grabbed my keys and took the side road, cut through town, came up the back way to the neighborhood. Parked 2 houses down from Trent's. Didn't even need to get out of the truck. Their curtains were open. There she was. Lisa. In my hoodie, barefoot, sitting at his table eating scrambled eggs like she lived there. He walked up behind her, kissed her neck. And I swear to God, she laughed like I was the punchline. I didn't feel rage. Not like you'd think. I felt relief. Like finally waking up from a nightmare you didn't know you were in. I took a picture. Just one. Drove home. Tossed her spare key in the trash. Grabbed the duffel bag I'd packed 2 days ago. Left her a note on the kitchen counter. "Eggs look good. Hoodie's yours. Don't bother Callan, I'm done being the fool in this show." Then I drove to my buddy Rick's place, cracked open a cold one, and laughed until my ribs hurt. By the time she called, 7 missed calls deep, I was already halfway through a brisket sandwich and feeling lighter than I had in years. Next week, I served her papers. Had M slid under her front door while she was at yoga. She tried to sweet-talk her way out of it, of course. I was confused. It didn't mean anything. "You stopped trying. I just smiled. Said, "Funny. I started again right when you stopped." She didn't cry. Just got quiet. I heard Trent move not long after. Guess cheatin' ain't near as fun when the husband ain't around to lie to. As for me, I'm good. Found a little apartment over the hardware store. It's got a view of the alley, and the faucet leaks, but it's mine. Peace and quiet tastes better than any kiss she ever gave me. And if I see her again, I'll nod. Not 'cause I forgive her, but because I walked away clean. And she'll never get that from me again.